I'd like to welcome Martin Roberts, the Group Chief Retail Officer.
Thank you, Nick, and thank you to the NFSP for inviting me here today. It's great to see many of you in the room, and I'm really looking forward to chatting with some of you later. I stood on the same stage 12 months ago, my first NFSP conference, where I had the chance to meet lots of you and learn more about your businesses. A lot has changed in the last year, some positive and some not so positive. And for me personally, I've learned a lot about the post office and also postmasters. I want to take the next 10 minutes to talk about some of those highlights, the challenges, but most importantly, what we are doing to continue progressing. One area I want to talk about today is our relationship with postmasters. As many of you will know, each week I visit post offices right across the UK. Last week I was in Scotland, the week before Wiltshire, and the week before that Bristol. Going out to visit branches is the highlight of my working week, wherever it may be, because it gives me and gets me out there and gives me an honest opinion of what's happening. This is a very important way for me to understand on how we continue to reset the relationship with you. Listening to what's working well and what isn't, and what we should focus on over the coming year. We've recently got the results of the annual Postmaster Survey managed by Quadrangle, an independent market resource investigations. 1,650 postmasters took part, around 22% of our independent postmaster population, which has given us a strong sample size, so thank you for all of those that took part. You might have heard Tracy talk about it last week at the Postmasters Conference, or seen the results in my weekly email last Friday. So I just want to recap the headline results for those of you who haven't yet seen them. You won't be surprised to hear that the results have gone down. There were some positive results around some of the improvements over the last year, the REM increases, for example, as well as Branch Hub and the range of training materials available. However, many of the results around postmasters feel about the post office were down compared to last year, and it didn't make comfortable reading for me or the business. We asked two important questions around how you perceive the relationship between you and the post office and how supported you feel. 34% of postmasters who completed the survey feel like a valued and equal business partner, down from 43% a year ago, a 9% dip. 36% said they feel more like a subordinate business partner. The remaining 30% feel somewhere in between. There was also a 12% reduction in those who feel that post office is genuinely trying to improve the relationship with you. 40% feel well supported by post office, a significant decline of 14 percentage points compared to last year. And 34% of people surveyed feel unsupported. That leaves me and the rest of our general exec with a very important question. What are we going to do about it? First, we're going to ask postmasters to take part in some focus groups to drill down in what's driving the lower levels of sentiment this year. And I personally want to get under the surface and understand a lot more about what I can do. It will also be a chance to share some of the other improvements we're working on and get postmasters' view on how useful they would be, which could mean we decide to pause some activity and focus on other initiatives that add value. My team is also committed to sitting down with Callum and other NFSP representation very soon to discuss ways of working and to brainstorm ideas for improving our relationship further and rebuilding trust. The key here is we work together with yourselves and with the wider postmaster community to make the necessary improvements. We've already started to make improvements in terms of how we work together, but we know there is more we can do. As you know, the revised grant framework agreement between PO and NSSP is being finalised and has been amended to address criticisms in the group's litigation common issues judgment. and to support the forging of new relationships between postmasters and the Post Office. We recently relaunched our regional forums, and they will continue to be another way to obtain valuable insight from postmasters. As will the Branch Operational Change Forum, which has also recently introduced new members. Many of you will recall it used to be called the Branch User Forum. It's again an important way to obtain views and input into operational changes that are due to land in branch this year. And of course, our regional area managers are out working with postmasters day in, day out, with more on the ground visits of support, which also provides that insight and priorities that we hear. We hear loud and clear that REM and branch profitability are still your top priorities, and they are ours too. The current economic climate is not something in our control, but that doesn't mean we can't support postmasters financially where we can, and I can assure you that this point is on my agenda on a daily basis. You'll know we announced increases in postmaster REM in August last year and again in March this year. And the increases address specific areas you asked us to look at, like banking deposits. Overall, together with the Royal Mail tariff increases, they equal an extra 26 million of additional postmaster REM, which is equivalent to 7%. As well as REM, we've also been looking at how we can use the data and knowledge we have to support postmasters, particularly when it comes to reducing your costs. We have a huge amount of Horizon transactional data available to us. We also have great market insight, knowledge around how locations are evolving, and things like bank closures we all see happening in our communities on a weekly basis. Add that to the knowledge of our field teams who are out in branches all the time, witnessing the challenges and opportunities. We knew we could use the data and knowledge to find ways to support you. This is how branch MOTs came about, starting as a pilot in 80 branches. They're a great example of how we can support you and work together to drive costs and drive up efficiencies. And we've carried out 1,139 MOTs so far with very positive results. 515 of these branches and the postmaster teams have agreed some change. I want to take a moment to talk to you about branch MOTs in more detail for those of you who haven't experienced one. They focus on reviewing opening hours, operational staff efficiency, and product level performance data. I'd like to share a couple of examples if I can. If you joined us at the Postmaster event on Thursday evening, you may have heard these examples, but I think it's important to demonstrate these examples of branch MOTs and how they can help. It's also great to see that both of these postmasters I talk about are in the room today. Postmaster Tony bought Thorn branch in Doncaster in September 2015. It's a main branch serving 3,000 customers each week in a convenience store. Tony was operating the post office over and above the required hours, and the data showed that a certain part of the week had minimal Horizon transactions. Tim Worley, the area manager, worked with Tony to implement new rotas and to tweak the branch opening hours. Tony saved 10 hours a week in staff costs, which equated to him to nearly £6,500 in a year. We also identified opportunities to drive banking business after the nearby bank closures. This equally led to the bank growing its banking revenue by no less than 20%. Well done to Tony, and thanks for your support with the MOT pilot and initiative. My second example is Albany Road in Cardiff. It's run by Dee on behalf of her father, who's the postmaster. Dee is also in the audience with us today. It's another busy main branch serving around 3,500 customers a week alongside a convenience outlet. This MOT was supported by regional manager Lynn Lewis and the area manager at the time, Fiona Hogg. We reviewed staffing rotas, customer usage, and found the branch was overstaffed by around 100 hours per week. After the changes, staff costs decreased by over 30,000 per annum. Post office income also started to grow by around 5% thanks to product coaching that helped with Mail's conversations, upselling travel services, and raising awareness of banking services. Again, thank you and well done to Dee and the team at Albany Road, some fantastic results. This shows how working with you can make change in a small way, but with some big results. And we will continue to work with branch MOTs in the year ahead. Last week, you have also heard a bit more detail about the mail strategy, and I wanted to just touch on that now. It's been a hugely challenging time in mails with the industrial action and cyber attacks which have been mentioned today, and I know that that's had an impact on many branches and also many communities. And I know from talking to you that many have been affected by this. Our new relationship with Amazon, DBD, Every and DHL help give customers and you more choice. We'll continue to expand these services as fast as we can. We will also need to work with Royal Mail on propositions like Labels to Go, Track 24 and 48, but Royal Mail is still our main partner. We want you to benefit from the increase in pickup and returns and the additional income and footfall this will bring. And having those other non-Royal Mail services over the counter will get customers back into the post offices. Yes, it has its challenges, but working together with you, we can make this mail strategy a success, improving branch profitability and future-proofing our business. As well as REM and the products available, we can support you in other ways too, especially given the cost of living crisis and the rising costs. We have ongoing conversations with the NFSP about how we can best support you financially. For example, you might remember we ran a campaign to lobby government about the Energy Bill Relief Scheme for businesses. And we continue to press the Financial Conduct Authority about bank deposit limits, which has been mentioned today. We know it's a big headache for many of you. I also know from talking to you and the letters that you write me that a lot of the time you spend running a post office goes into the various back office activities, and things have changed. This hasn't probably been properly looked at since 2014, and I know, only being in a branch last week, that those changes are really clear to see, and they're challenging for you. So we've commissioned a study into 16 branches to help us better understand the workload on these activities, and the branches have been selected and agreed by the NFSP. We'll use the feedback and data to help shape how we design and streamline the processes in the future and our approach to REM. It's equally important that we continuously look at ways to reduce costs centrally too. Nick has mentioned it, but to reiterate, you may be aware that our main office is moving from Finsbury Dials in London next month to Wood Street, which is close by. It's a major downsizing with sizable savings in costs, over £2.5 million. And to give you a little bit more flavour, we're moving from 530 desks across 3 floors to now 86 desks on 1 floor. And as Nick mentioned, from 55,000 square feet to 17. We're also recycling the furniture and equipment instead of buying new. I hope this shows we're determined to drive efficiencies and to cut costs at the centre. And separately, while it's not financial support, some of you will have seen our new workplace wellbeing portal in yesterday's exhibition. You'll be able to find a range of wellbeing services there to help you and the members of your branch stay mentally and physically healthy. And as I said earlier, while some of these things are beyond our control, we want to look at what else we can do that will help support you and the branch network. Our intent remains to be modern, successful and a sustainable business, with everything we do firmly rooted in our purpose. We are here, in person, for those who rely on us. You have seen us launching bank hubs and drop and collect branches, and they will continue to play a part as we progress our intent and adapt the shape of our network to the way customers live their lives. All the more so, retail changes towards that digital world, and we need to be able to adapt. We are, of course, having ongoing discussions with the government about future funding for the network, but it's a difficult conversation. We will continue to press home the post offices and the postmasters to the government at every opportunity that we have. So to sum up, I know it's very hard for many of you right now, and I see and hear that every single week from my own team and directly from you. We are supporting where and when we can, and we'll keep looking at that, especially around branch profitability, which I know is the most important issue for all of you. Thank you again for your time today, And thank you for your ongoing conversations and challenges from the NFSP and how we can work together. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you very much.